When you first teach in a virtual classroom, it can feel like you've landed on another planet. You can't just stick a webcam on it and think that that's going to get you by. If you're new to virtual classroom, it's wise to be as prepared as possible for this new teaching experience. So today I'm going to cover everything that you need to know before you set foot in one. Even though we're starting to recover from the global pandemic where virtual classroom was our only option, there are a number of subjects and courses that really lend themselves to the virtual setting, and they will remain in this mode of delivery. One of the strangest phenomenons that happens in a virtual classroom is that while you're discovering it for yourself, at the same time, your students are looking to you for guidance. One of the best ways to do that is by a step-by-step process of onboarding them into the virtual classroom. Let's take a look at this orientation PowerPoint created by TAFE New South Wales teacher Sue Broadfield, where she teaches students how to navigate and communicate in MS Teams. What Sue does here is introduce the students to the virtual classroom. She takes them through the technology platform, step by step, showing them the mute button, the camera button, the chat bot, and then they jump into an activity to put it all into practice. In this activity, each student's going to introduce themselves. They're going to say what their name is, where they're from, do they work in viticulture or wine, why are they doing the course, and just something fun, tell us about your favourite food. This is just a fun activity to orient them to MS Teams, and they're going to use the camera and mute buttons. You'll notice Sue is now putting instructions on the page, how to raise your hand and where that actual icon is on their screen so they can see it and they can hear it. Then they're going to raise their hand. They're also going to wait till they're asked to speak. So these are step-by-step instructions just showing the students where all the buttons are, what they need to do and things to look out for to make sure everything's going to go smoothly. Your communication needs to be really overt. Because we can't see each other and communicate as well as we normally would face to face, we need to make sure that we amplify everything and signpost all our instructions. Sue's PowerPoint is a great example of amplification and signposting. It's not enough to just tell students, go to the top toolbar and click on the icon with the hand up. We need to signpost it and amplify it so that students know exactly what to do. We can't be ambiguous in our guidance or instructions to students. We need to slow down and take it one step at a time so that we're journeying with the student. Another thing that happens in virtual classroom is your timepiece works differently. What normally takes 60 minutes in a face-to-face class will probably take 80 minutes in a virtual classroom. This is because communication methods take a lot longer in virtual classroom. Add into the fact that there might be some tech issues, and that 60 minutes is easily going to drag out to about 80 to 90 minutes. Speaking of communication, in a virtual classroom, it's going to feel like your eyes are inhibited. This is because your students are now appearing in small windows on your screen, and the body language cues that you normally get simply aren't there. At times, it's going to feel like your ears are inhibited too. If you ask a question to students in a classroom, you're probably going to hear this. Students lack confidence in a virtual classroom and can be reluctant to participate. So as the teacher, this requires you to amp up your energy and just lead the room, even though you're not getting any of this feedback from them. To be honest, I find that lack of feedback coming back from students a real challenge, and it throws me. But what I need to do is just press on and keep the energy up. As a new teacher, you're going to have to think about your resources that you present as well. If you've got an average PowerPoint presentation, you might be able to get away with that in a face-to-face setting because you're in the room and you can cover it up. But in virtual classroom, an average PowerPoint becomes a woeful PowerPoint. It's really normal that yours and the student's concentration span is going to be diminished in the virtual classroom. So you need to take regular breaks, get away from the screen, even if it's only for a few minutes. The lecture style of the sage on the stage, just providing information to students, isn't going to cut it in a virtual classroom. So you need to incorporate as much active learning and participation from the students as possible to keep them engaged. A backup plan is crucial in virtual classroom because I guarantee at some point something's going to go wrong with technology. So you need to have something ready to go in your back pocket, and the most important thing is make sure you communicate that to students beforehand. If all this is sounding scary, that's because it is. I remember being petrified the first few times I was in a virtual classroom, But guess what? I didn't die, I adjusted, I learned a whole lot of new skills, and if I can be a good teacher in virtual classroom, my skills are going to be really enhanced in a face-to-face setting. Moving into a virtual classroom is going to require you to be brave. So next week, I'm going to be talking all about bravery in a virtual classroom. I'll see you next time on Virtually the Teacher.